Okay. Let me get this pulled up on my phone. I assume it's not gonna reload. That's fine. Boop. And boop. Okay. So I have that set up. In our last Blender stream, we ended up making the plate, I believe. I can't remember if last stream we did the sculpting of the donut to make the sides over here a bit thicker all around. How do I zoom out again? Okay. Yeah, it's like we can make the droplets and then make it hug the mesh, I guess. Hug the rest of the donut. But in our last time, we made a plate for the donut. So, suppose we can grab this and move it towards center. Is there a coordinates, I believe, somewhere, right? No, there's not. Or at least from what I see. But is there? No? No? Because if there's a coordinate system, I could just put 0, 0. Ah, well. We can just move this over. Oh, there is up there, but can't do too much with it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So, since we have that and our scuffed little mug over there, we can go back to our video here.
Welcome back. How did you go making your plate? Hope you all attempted it. If you didn't or you got stuck,
and we're
don't
in
worry,
part 4
because
now
I'm
of
going to
this
show
video.
you how to make it right now. So if you had no problems with it, you might want to skip forward. This might be a little boring, but otherwise I'm going to show everyone how I would go about creating the plate. So we need to add a new object to the scene. We can go to the add menu up there, or we can hit Shift A. And then from this list, we want to choose the object which most resembles what we want to create. If you ask me, that would be a circle. Okay, so just like before, the bottom left-hand corner, we can change some options here. The biggest one being radius. It's too big, so I'll drop that into about there.
Oh, okay, so in here he's going over how to actually make the plate.
And that is because there is no face there. This is just a string of vertices. And as I touched on briefly earlier, vertices don't show up in your render, faces do. So we need to add a type of face underneath fill. So there's two options. Either of them will do. N-gon is just one single face shared amongst the 32. Or the triangle fan will mean there's one point in the middle. You can actually see it in this mode. One point in the middle, and then it just creates triangles to that point.
I'm tempted to just do it again to follow what he's doing, but
for this option,
I think we're good.
I'll just use that.
Doing so.
Okay. Now we need to add more geometry to this because we need to create some sort of a lip for the plate. You can't just have a plate. It's always got to have a rim on, or else that stuff slides off it, right? So into edit mode by hitting tab. To add some geometry, I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to hit E, okay? And in this state, it's now saying, yeah, where do you want to place it? And it's extruding it along the normal, which is...
I can't really remember what I did for my plate over here.
And I'm just going to do a single click right here. Now, before we start scaling and pulling this out, you'll notice that, obviously, that's intersecting our mesh. We need to delete that face because we don't need it. So I'm going to hit X to delete. And then what type of deletion, not edges, not vertices, obviously, because that would be, the entire line. I want to delete just the single face on top. And there we go. So now I can reselect that line by holding down Alt and left clicking on it. And now if I want to create like a lip, which is not just straight up, but a little bit out.
Hold up, how did he do that again?
Yeah. I want to delete just the single face.
Oh, so he just deleted the top
go.
face. Like,
So now I can
okay.
reselect that line by holding down Alt and then left clicking on it. And now if I want to create like a lip, which is not just straight up, but a little bit out, I would just scale. So S to scale, and then just pulling my mouse out until it looks something like that. Do a click to confirm. Okay. And then I'm going to do another extrusion because I'm going to create like another bit, like a little bit of a flat area. Okay. So E. And then I don't actually want to pull it upwards. Obviously, I want to pull it outwards. So what I do is I cancel the movement.
Oh, my bad.
And now that I'm in that state, I'm going to hit S to pull outwards.
Wait, huh?
And now that I'm in that state, I'm going to hit S.
He escaped.
So what I do is I cancel the movement. And now that I'm in that state, I'm going to hit S,
Hold on.
E, and then I don't actually want to
pull
it upwards. Obviously,
extrusion.
I want to pull it outwards. So what I do is I cancel the movement. And now that I'm in that state, I'm going to hit S to pull outwards, like so.
What? Okay.
By the way, I should show you as well. If after you have like extruded
that's kind of cool though.
Like let's say you do this, right? Oops. If you did this, if you extruded, and then you like cleared its position, but then accidentally clicked off it, you've now got double vertices all along this line here.
Okay.
And that's horrible because it will create jagged artifacts in it. So this is a really super common problem that you'll experience all the time. And the way to fix it is to select your entire mesh, then hit M to merge, and then you're going to go by distance. And you'll see in the bottom there, that little thing that says removed 32 vertices. And that has cleared up that problem. So I have to show you that because people will do it, it'll happen, and that's how you fix that issue. But again, if you run into issues like this, use my Unstuck Yourself guide. Link is in fix that issue. So I have to show you that because people will do it, it'll happen, and that's how you fix that issue. But again, if you run into issues like this...
I wonder if I have that issue. Okay. So do this, and then... I forget which mode it is where I see... Oh. That. And is this? No. Let's see. So that is selected. I assume we go into modifiers if I can find it. Modifiers of the plate. And if I turn those off, wait, why do these exist? Why do those exist? Okay. We'll try deleting those. Oops. Control, yeah, that deselects that. I should have shifted. Shift. No, that's control. Shift. Okay, turn that around. Whoops. Okay. Okay, move around like so. Select those ones. Can turn that off just so I'm not... I make sure that I'm not getting anything else there. There you go, right? And I want to grab one of these points. Okay. Escape that. What did he say to do to clear that again?
Do it, it'll happen, and then hit M to merge.
M.
And then
okay. Can I... Yeah, because it looks the same. It was just those points that were just existing there. Cursor, no. Select circle. Can I? No, that's not how that works. W is a cycle one, yeah? Well. Okay. Merge by distance. Oh, okay. Didn't have the problem then. Nice. We'll go back to the circle one and turn these back on. Go into object mode again. And now that we have that, we'll go back to this thing.
And then you're going to go by distance. And you'll see in the bottom there, that little thing that says removed 32 vertices. And that has cleared up that problem. So I have to show you that because people will do it. It'll happen.
That's cool.
And that's how you fix that issue. But again, if you run into issues like this, use my Unstuck Yourself guide. Link is in the description because I did set it up so you guys can hopefully get through this tutorial.
Yep.
All right, so as I said, extrude, clear its like movement. So its placement is exactly where it started from. But then I'm going to hit S to scale outwards. So now I've got a little flat rim to my plate.
And scales out.
And then, now that it's here, I'm going to do one further extrusion upwards. And this is just obviously the design of the plate that I'm choosing. So upwards. Now you can see it's like freehand like that. I don't like it, so I'm just going to lock it on the Z axis. So just hit Z, so it's going straight up like so. Okay. Great, we've got a very jaggedy looking plate that you sometimes see in video games. You're playing Call of Duty or something, you get up close and you go like, look at that jagged old plate there. Which by the way is because in games, the plate is like one of a million objects and they can only put so many polys into the scene. So little things, little details on tables and things often end up a little low res. Anyway, go to your modifier stack. And the first one we want to add to kind of smooth this out is our very favorite subdivision surface, right where my head is, or you can access it from the search subdivision. There we go.
I think I immediately just put the modifiers on.
2, and we've got that crimping effect happening to the middle of our plate there. So just like before, and actually let's hide my donut and my icing just so that I can focus on the plate. And I'm also going to turn off the subdiv just so that I can select this single face here. Because just like before, the reason that's happening is it's like right on the edge there. It has to like convert all that into like a single point in the middle. And it's just too ugly when it starts there. So we just may have to make it start way further in the middle like that. And then when we do that, it's clear. It's practically invisible. You can only see it if you get really close, but you won't see it because it'll be under the donut and it'll be smooth. Anyway. Cool. Now, I can tighten.
I guess I could do that with mine right here. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, because you kind of see it very faintly with mine. Right? Yeah. So if I get rid of the solidify modifier, still practically the same. Okay. And I can do this, go into faces, right? Turn that off. And that was
the edges here, because this is looking very, very really close, but you won't see it because it'll be under the donut.
Loop
it'll be smooth.
cut, right?
Anyway. Cool. Now I can tighten up the edges here because this is looking very, very smooth. Oop. So I showed you before how you can add a loop cut. You can do Control R, okay, and that'll add a loop cut in the middle, and then I just pull it out towards the edge like that to make a smoothed, sharpened point. Anyway, the other way to do it, which I didn't talk about, but you can do a crease. So if we just hold down Alt and then we select that line there, you can do a crease.
Oh, because I'm on vertices, right? Okay.
You'll see you've got their edge crease, or the hotkey Shift E. So in this, when you do Shift E, you'll see at the top there, you're pulling out basically a value from 1 to 0. And essentially what it's doing is it's like doing a fake in. The other way to do it, point at, okay, and that'll allow. I showed you before. I can tighten up the edges here because this is looking very, very smooth. So I showed you before how you can into like a single point in the middle, and it's just too ugly when it starts there. So we just may have to make it start way further in the middle, like that. Ugly when it starts there. So we just may have to make it start. For the reason that's happening is it's like select that I can focus on a single face here.
Yeah.
It's just like before. The reason that's happening is it's like right on the edge there. It has to like convert all that into like a single point in the middle, and it's just too ugly when it starts there. So we just may have to make it start way further in the middle, like that. And then when it starts there. So we just may have to make it start.
Okay.
Way further in the middle, like that. And then when we do that, it's clear. It's practically invisible. You can only see it if you get really close, but you won't see it because it'll be under the donut and it'll be smooth. Anyway, cool. Now I can tighten up the edges here because this is looking very, very smooth. So I showed you before how you can add a loop cut. You can do Control R, okay, and that'll add a loop cut in the middle, and then I just pull it out towards the edge like that to make add a loop cut in the middle, and then I just pull it out a loop cut. You can do Control R.
And we'll turn on the subdivision, yeah?
Okay, and that'll add a loop cut in the middle, and then I just pull it out towards the edge like that to make a smoothed, sharpened point. Yeah, anyway.
And do that.
The other point. Yeah, anyway, cut in the middle, and then I just pull it out towards the edge like that to make a smoothed,
Okay, so I shouldn't do it all the way. Loop cut. So do it about here, yeah?
Sharpened point. Yeah, anyway. The other way to do it, which I didn't talk about, but you can do a crease. So if we just hold down Alt and then we select that line there,
yeah,
you can do a crease. If you right click, you'll see you've got their edge crease, or the hotkey Shift E. So in this, when you do Shift E, you'll see at the top there, you're pulling out basically a value from 1 to 0. And essentially what it's doing is it's like doing a fake kind of tighten on that edge there. So it's kind of like pulling it out and just making it a sharper point. It doesn't look as nice. You don't get as much of a bevel because there's no geometry being added there like you would if you were to actually do a loop cut. You get all this extra geometry. So it's not as good, but for like small things, it's, you know, it's generally
I think I can leave
to do
mine
like
as
that.
is. I think it's
all right,
fine.
I'm going to do a shade smooth now because I want to see how that looks. And that's pretty good. Now, the only other thing, the exact same thing. It's weird that like 3 things in this small little scene have the exact same 2 modifiers: subserve and solidify. Anyways, generate, solidify. And just like before, we want this solidify to go first because otherwise it's doing it after the fact. And then we get this like really annoying like hard line there. So just pull that up to the top and now it's rounded. And look at that. But yeah, I might actually want to make this line a little bit harder. So I'll pull that in. It's still, yeah, this is not enough geometry there. This is one of the cases where you just need more geometry. So I'm going to add a loop cut here. And I'll add another loop cut underneath it.
Considering everything he's doing right now, I'm quite proud of my little plate over here.
That edge crease. So Shift E, and then I just go like -1, like so. And now it's just, yeah, the way it was before. But there you go. So now I've got a sharper edge on it. The only other thing, I might just pull up this lip here. So Alt select on that lip, G, Z, and I'll just pull it up a little bit. And there you go. And we would model from reference, but I actually have a photo scan plate from Polygon, which we'll get to later.
It's fine though.
Yeah, this is just modeling from that reference that I already had, but this is the design of it. So there you go. Great.
Yeah.
Now let's bring back our donut and our icing. Now, I saw a comment on the last video that said, you didn't make the donut lumpy like last time. It's so over. Why? Oh, ye have little faith? You think I would forget something like that? Maybe I did forget. But I'm actually glad I did,
Lumpy though?
because this is a great opportunity to talk about a new tool. So for those that haven't watched a previous version, before we did the icing, we made the donut lumpy, which I did by going into edit mode, and then I just selected vertices using proportional editing and like pulled it out, right? And just kind of like maybe I shrink some parts in, this kind of thing. And the reason this is important is that this adds natural variation, because you could have scientists working for 1,000 years in a lab and they would never be able to create a donut as perfectly mathematically accurate as our 3D software has done. This is too perfect. There is natural variation, and we need to see that for the eye to go, this is a real, something realistic, right? And it's hard to do this kind of thing after you've already added the icing, because you can see it just has no bearing on the icing over the top, right? So some things in 3D are easier to do earlier than they are to do later. And this is something you just learn as you do 3D. Like you'll do so many projects where you just like, you get to the end and you go like, oh man, why didn't I do that before I did this? Now this is like, I've like 3x'd the amount of work, and you just learn these things over time. However, there are certain tools, and there is one I'm going to introduce you to in a second, that enable you to make these sort of changes after. By the way, there is a way, like you can select both objects like this, which that is something that you can do in Blender now. You didn't used to always be able to, but you can now edit both objects. By the way, there is a way, like you can select both objects like this,
press tab.
That is something that you can do in Blender now. You didn't used to always be able to, but you can now edit both objects together. So I could do this. It does have like a clipping issue when you try to do like shrink fatten, but you can get some like natural lumpy variations going this way. And you can do that. That's actually fine. But I do want to introduce you to a new tool that is in 5.0. And it is, if you select both of your icing and your donut together, then you hit Shift A, and then you go lattice. There's a new option for lattice deform selected. We always had lattice, but it was very finicky to set up. But now you've got lattice deform selected, and that adds this, what looks like a cube, like a bounding box over your object. But it's not actually going to appear in your render. All it is a deformation guide. So if you just select these points, you can see we are twisting the donut. But importantly, the actual donut is underneath, like this is a modifier, right? So we're not actually changing the mesh at all. It's just doing this after the fact. And then if I just deleted my lattice, like it's gone. It's back to where it was. So this is a non-destructive workflow. These little points here, they enable me to, at any point in the future, change and deform a mesh, which is actually really useful. And it's because you're not often in the exact circumstance when you know exactly what you're going to do, and then at the end of it, like you know the order in which to do things. Sometimes you're working with a client and they've got an idea for something, and then far later on they're like, you know what, let's change the proportions of the car or whatever it is, and you have to be able to like fix it without redoing all your mesh. So that's what a lattice can do. Now it comes by default with just this low res cube over it, but if down here you click this little data property, for the lattice, you've got resolution here. So I can increase this. I can add in some more resolution here. And importantly, I want to add one in the middle here. Because the first thing you notice when you look at reference of donuts is that besides the, I can
Was that a modifier, or was he just grabbing it from somewhere?
You click this little data property for the...
Hold on. This thing? Oh, okay. Got it. Go back to here.
Lattice, you've got resolution here. So I can increase this. I can add in some more resolution here. And importantly, I want to add one in the middle here. Because the first thing you notice when you look at reference of donuts is that besides the lumpy shape, the bit around the middle of the donut is often
rows
whiter,
and columns.
and it's not as puffy. And when you look at how donuts are cooked, it's actually easy to see why. It's half submerged in the oil, and then it is flipped over onto the other side, and then the other side cooks. So it cooks one side and then it cooks the other. And the bits, near the surface of the oil, that's the oil is less hot, right? Because it's near the surface, so it's escaping. So that oil is
We're
less
learning
hot.
about real donuts
the oil
now.
that's underneath it is much hotter, and then it flips it over. And so, again, you always have this bit around the middle that just isn't quite cooked as well as the other stuff. So it ends up being a little bit lighter. It's also less puffy. So no donut actually comes out at that perfectly round shape. It's usually always kind of almost concave actually around the middle. So with this, I can select all of these points here like so. I have to shift select them. I can't do the alt click around it because it's not technically
I was going to try that.
and then I can just scale it in. Like turn off proportional editing if you've got it on.
Ooh,
and then just shrink it in
this one.
like that. And that by itself will add just a little bit of realism to this, because that is a detail that your eye won't notice. Everyone thinks donuts are just, you know, they're perfectly round, but they're actually not, right? They've always got this like concave kind of shape around.
Am I getting
so
the,
that
let
will
me
add some
get rid of
realism.
the plate.
But then I can add in some
Yeah, I did. Okay.
areas here where one part, it got a little bit more puffy on that side, so that part's a little bit raised up.
Control.
And obviously this isn't as detailed as if you had,
I
you
do
know,
not
if you
mean
were
to select that.
manipulating
Why is
the
that selected now?
torus
Okay.
underneath, right? I can't do like, you know, small details. I can't, you know, sculpt in an area or do some crazy changes. But it's enough in a pinch to do something like this. I'm just going to hide my plate. Which, by the way, you can do it by hitting the
why is it highlighted?
which is what I've been doing up there. Sorry, not the eyedropper,
okay.
the eye icon. You can also do it by hitting H. So you select an
I'm
object.
gonna pause this real quick because I kind of just went all over the place. Give me 1 second. Let me switch that mode to circles. I can do this probably. Right? Nice. Okay, cool. So we'll go back a few seconds. Okay.
Just a little bit of realism. Like turn off proportional editing if you've got it on, and then just
proportional editing is that thing, I think.
Like that. And that by itself will add just a little bit of realism to this, because that is a detail that your eye won't notice. Everyone thinks donuts are just, you know, they're perfectly round, but they're actually not, right? They've always got this like concave kind of shape around. So that will add some realism. But then I can add in some little areas here where one part, it got a little bit more puffy on that side. So that part's a little bit raised up. And obviously this isn't as detailed as if you had, you know, if you were manipulating the torus underneath. Right, I can't do like, you know, small details. I can't, you know, sculpt in an area or do some crazy changes. But it's enough in a pinch to do something like this. I'm just going to hide my plate, which, by the way, you can do it by hitting the eyedropper, which is what I've been doing up there. Sorry, not the eyedropper, the eye icon. You can also do it by hitting H. So you select an object in the viewport. You hit H, and then you hit Alt H to bring it back. So H or Alt H.
We'll pull this one a little down.
Key to remember.
We won't do anything too crazy.
Here, so at the bottom here, because yeah, the same thing will happen at the bottom. There'll be parts where like the donut looks a little bit like raised on the plate a little bit, like this. Just around the middle here.
Yeah.
Like that. There you go. Something like that. But this is just a small amount of definition, right? It might seem unnecessary, but it does help. It really does help things to feel more realistic when you go to the trouble of doing some of this. And it's super, super important. But we can also now apply it. Once I know that I like everything, I don't want to have this like lattice sitting over it forever. So I can just apply that by going to apply and then selecting the donut. And I can also say apply there. And now I can just delete this lattice. And now it's like I modeled that.
Hold on, he went a little too fast.
I know that I like everything. I don't want to have this like lattice sitting over it forever. So I can just apply that by going to apply and then selecting the donut. And I can also say apply.
Oh, okay. So if I go back here, go into the donut, right? Modifiers. Boop. Can I do this? That, go into here, modifiers, and apply that. Same with the donut. Can apply that. And then he said to delete this, yeah? Okay. Okay. Could have done a little more, but it's fine.
Apply there. And now I can just delete this lattice. And now it's like I modeled that, right? All those shapes are now like baked into it.
Nice.
And it looks good. As I said before, if you did want to do any more detail, you could, shift, select multiple objects, go into edit mode, and then using proportional editing, you could also do some like more targeted tweaks. If you really wanted to, manipulate the donut, you could do that. So there are things that you can do. It does make a difference. It is important. But it is also optional. But it's an excuse to kind of introduce you to some more tools and things in Blender. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't do it at the start, because we can introduce you to that kind of thing. So, all right, we got a lumpy looking donut. Good for us. Now is the exciting bit. We can talk about rendering. Making this actually look good. Because this is gray. This is boring. This is called the 3D viewport view, okay? The reason this looks boring and flat is that this is cheaper for your computer to actually process just the shapes in like a gray. There's no shadows, there's no lighting, there's no surface interaction or anything like that. This is fast for your computer to see. To create that pretty image that looks realistic with light calculations and everything, that is called a render. And you can do a render by either hitting F12 on your keyboard or by going to render and then saying render image. And now that has taken a snapshot. The problem is it looks like not the view that we were looking at. So we're looking at this view. Why did we get a view up here? The reason is that Blender will always take the render from
my
the
PC just decided to just...
So remember that thing that's like way out in the middle of nowhere we haven't touched? It's taking the view from that camera.
Is that a good thing? Okay.
Like not the view keyboard, or by going to render
image.
Render image.
So I assume that is not a good thing. Oh, we see it though. Okay.
And now that has taken a snapshot. The problem is it looks like not the view that we were looking at. So we're looking at this view. Why did we get a view up here? The reason is that Blender will always take the render from the camera view. So remember that thing that's like way out in the middle of nowhere we haven't touched? It's taking the view from that camera. And you can look through the camera by hitting the camera view icon over there. So now that I'm here... Camera view
icon where? Oh, this thing? That does not look like what I got. I suppose we should... okay. Right. So we should save firstly. And let's try that again. Render image. Why is it separate?
View. How do we move it in
so
close?
weird.
How do we get it close to, I think? So there's a number of like traditional ways to bring a camera into like in Blender. I'll actually show you the way I first learned to do this, because it's actually just like natural to me. But then I'll show you the method that actually most people prefer. So you can just, with the camera selected, you can hit G. You can move things around like that. If you want to bring it in, like just zoom to the like straight forward, if you hit G and then middle mouse button, that will like kind of what's it called, dolly in and out, which can be very useful. And then if I want to like tilt it, I can like just hit rotate like that, or I can rotate along the Z axis, right? Because I know how to like turn the camera. So that was how I learned to use the camera, and how a lot of people still like to do it. But a lot of new people prefer this, because
I have to do
now
alt.
in 5.0, it's actually just a button right here. If you click this button, now I can use the same controls that I used before to move the camera. Because if you don't have that checked, the moment you just like hit your middle mouse to like orbit somewhere else, it leaves the camera behind, okay? But when you're looking through the camera and you have this checked, now when I orbit around and I zoom and I do all the same controls as before, shift middle mouse, I can position the camera exactly where I want it, get it right there.
Okay. So I can actually tell what's happening.
Don't then immediately orbit like you're going to go do something, because the camera is still locked to your view. So you have to make sure you uncheck it when you're done, and then the camera is locked to that position there. And by the way, this is like a small thing, but when you're working with like small objects, you often have to like change, because Blender is like designed for like environment, like big types of scenes.
Okay.
This camera is just too big. So if you go to the camera settings, click the camera thing, then go to viewport display. I just changed the display of this. This has no bearing on the actual like final render. This is just how it displays in your viewport so that it's not so gigantic it's taking over everything. All right. The other way you can quickly look through the camera is numpad 0. So numpad 0 will take you in and out. All right. But now that I'm there, I can hit F12 and look at that. That is a different look. It's still gray because the default materials are gray. But you can see there is shadow there. But check this out. We can do
close that, right?
So besides just shadow, like you might notice looking at the by the way, you can bring back a render by hitting
image.
F11. I should also mention, by the way,
what is happening here?
Render. I think the first time, if you've just opened Blender for the first time and you hit render, it'll have to do a bunch of like shader compilations and stuff like that. It should only need to do that once. It shouldn't have to do it every time you open
Why
Blender.
is this so different from what I see
which
here?
Is a rendering engine we'll talk about soon. But this, there is some of that every time
it should be from the camera point of view, but
when you create
it's
a new
still
shader,
not the
it
same.
has to like develop those things. But anyways, it's the first time it should be slow, but it should be quicker for every render after that. Okay, so
makes
there's
sense.
shadow
Okay.
here, but you'll notice like in here, there's no detail. Whereas in the real world, you would see like bounce lighting from the end of the plate there. You would see like some crevice information. It'd be darker and things. And that is because by default, there's an option that is turned off. So if you go to your render properties at the top there, this has all the information just pertaining to how something is going to be rendered. And by default, ray tracing is turned off, which I think is a mistake. I think they should change it to default on, because so many people don't like Eevee, this rendering engine, because they think it just produces fake looking images. But when you turn on ray tracing, look at how much better.
Okay, my bad. I need to go back again.
Because so off, which is going to be rendered.
Oh, where is it at?
There's an option that is turned off. So if you go to your render properties at the top there, this
okay. Render properties. This thing. Ray tracing. Okay. Yeah, I hear the computer. It's going through it. Okay. Looks a little decent. It's interesting there. Still doesn't explain why they're separated like that. It's wow. Okay. How do I fix that? If I grab plate, move it over here, what happens? Close that. Do it again. Why? Maybe
has
he'll
all the
go over it,
information just
hopefully.
pertaining to how something is going to be rendered. And by default, ray tracing is turned off, which I think is a mistake. I think they should change it to default on, because so many people don't like Eevee, this rendering engine, because they think it just produces fake looking images. But when you turn on ray tracing, look at how much better that looks. By the way, if you want to compare renders, you can change to a new slot, and then you can do a render, another render, and then you've got the previous render, and then the new render in slot 2, and then you can flip back by hitting J on your keyboard, and that's a way you can like quickly compare settings, which is very useful. But you can see with ray tracing turned on, this is off. Turned on, we get bounce lighting. So there's some light that's hitting the plate there and it's bouncing up. We've got like more information in the crevices, and it just looks a lot more realistic than it did before. You'll also have reflections when I show you some material properties. So that is something you should have on all the time when you're using Eevee. By the way, there is another rendering engine called Cycles, and it is much more realistic. However, it is a lot more slower. It's honestly, I'm going to show you at the end a comparison between Cycles and Eevee, but it's actually negligible if you know the right settings for Eevee. So I'm going to keep it on Eevee for the rest, which is actually good because Eevee is actually pretty powerful at doing most things. It's just it's a game engine style, so it's a rasterized rendering engine, whereas Cycles is
That
a
looks
path trace
very
rendering engine,
nice.
much more computationally heavy. Whereas Eevee is much more faster. So we're going to keep it on Eevee, and I'm going to show you how to get really great results with it. And then at the end, we're going to flip it to Cycles. So if you want to see that final result, you can get it, but we're not going to start there because it's just not necessary. And I don't think most people will actually need it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some materials, but first, you'll notice like it's kind of annoying to have to like render something, like go to render it every time you want to see an image like that. And thankfully, you don't have to, because in the top view here, these little icons, there is a mode here called render view mode. And this puts the render in real time. Look at that.
What?
I don't have to hit the render to wait to see my result. I can see it in my viewport. So it used to be that like rendering engines were so slow that really to do a render was like a big task. Then? You hit render and it would take hours to process something, and it didn't look anything as good as this, right? But now rendering is like, and computers are so fast that we can just have rendering running constantly whilst we are working, and it's usually not computationally heavy. So this is Eevee, which is the much faster one. Cycles would be a little slower, but still. Anyway, now that we're in render view mode, let's talk about materials. So let's start with the most different material. Let's go with the icing. So looking at our icing here, if I want to make this look pink and change its overall appearance, if I go down to my material panel down here, material properties, and then I can just click on new material. And now I've got a bunch of different options here, okay? And these all do different things for the surface appearance. Like metallic will make it look like metal, right? Roughness will change like how sharp the reflection looks. The base color, this is like the main one you want to change for almost every object. This is just the base color of the object. So obviously, I can make that look pink, like that. Let's pull in here a little bit closer.
Hold on a second. So the position doesn't change? It does not care about the position, huh? Object. What? Scene. I kind of have no idea what I'm looking at here. Why? Okay, so when I reopened it, it defaulted the plate position to be over here. But why is it not updating in the render when I move it? Okay. What if I do that? Still nothing. Transform? No. Grab Z-axis. It's floating now. We might have to skip
so I can make
ahead.
it look nice and pink. The other thing is it's looking like way too diffuse. It's almost like a chalk looking icing. But if I bring this back, I can make this look more shiny. I don't want to go like too far because then it's like
I'll probably end up in render
reflection.
settings. I could probably
go
skip it for now or ignore it for now.
Somewhere around 0.2. The great
So
thing is
we'll
we
just
can
pretend
really
that it's
change
working
these values
right.
at any point in the future.
Okay.
So when we
So
add in
we'll go
other
back to him explaining the icing and
like how
stuff.
sharp, I want to make this look pink and change its overall appearance. If I go down to my material panel, which is the much faster one, cycles would be a little slower, but still. Anyways, now that we're in render view mode, let's talk about materials. So let's start with the most different material. Let's go with the icing. So looking at our icing here, if I want to make this look pink and change its overall appearance, if I go down to my material panel down here, or material properties, and then I can just click on new material. And now I've got a bunch of different options here, okay? And these all do different things for the surface appearance. Like metallic will make it look like metal, right? Roughness will change like how sharp the reflection looks. The base color, this is like the main one you want to change for almost every object. This is just the base color of the object. So obviously, I can make that look pink, like that. Let's pull in here a little bit closer, focus on that. So I can make it look nice and pink. The other thing is it's looking like way too diffuse. It's almost like a chalk looking icing. But if I bring this back, I can make this look more shiny. I don't want to go like too far because then it's like mirror reflection. I want to go like, somewhere around
I'll take
0.2.
that pink.
The great thing is we can really change these values at any point in the future. So when we add in other objects and there's different lighting setups, some of the settings can look a little off at that point. So it's very common to once you've set up all your lighting and everything to reevaluate your materials. But it's completely non-destructive. I can change these at any time. And now I could create some very simple materials. Like I could say, let's make this look black, make it like a black, shiny, glossy ceramic mug. So by the way, you'll notice I'm not going all the way to black. There's a kind of a unspoken, well, it's not unspoken, people speak it. You shouldn't go fully black or fully white. Or same with colors. You shouldn't go 100% saturation on a color because things start to clip. It's maybe a little outdated as now color management is getting so good. It knows actually how to handle saturated stuff and dark things. But it's still a general rule. You never want to go fully black because things are never truly the real black is Vanta black, right? Which is just this material, which is scientifically created to emit no reflection, simplifying it. But yeah, so things will, even a black mug that looks really black to you is probably not entirely black. So it's still, there's going to be a little bit of lightness to it. So I'm just adding that in there. The roughness, this is where I can make this, if I wanted this to look like a, shiny ceramic mug, I could do something like that. These are just placeholders, by the way. I'm just using this as an example of how to create very simple materials. The plate here, let's go, make it just look a little bit shinier.
Interesting. I'm getting artifacting
and then the
my
donut,
stuff.
let's go give it a, brownish, lightish color, like that. Make it a little bit darker, like so. Another value, which is super important for something like icing and the donut, and it's really important for just two things, which is food and characters. And it is that when light hits objects like this, they are mushy, right? They're made of organic matter. And so light actually enters the object and it kind of scatters around inside it and then it re-exits it. It's the reason why when you look at your hand in front of a light or the sun or something, you can see the light shining through. You can even see your bones through your hand if it's a bright enough light. So it's called subsurface scattering. And that value is underneath here where it says subsurface. If you go down here, you want to turn the weight all the way up to 1 because this is not the intensity of it. This is just apparently this value is supposed to be 0 or 1. It shouldn't be somewhere in between. To control how much of it is the scale, which is how far into the surface will the light penetrate. And then you can see here, you can increase this or decrease this, and you can see the light kind of get into it. Now, by default, it looks red, which I also think is a mistake. It's very suitable for characters because characters need red because inside a character is blood, right? But for every other thing like food, it shouldn't be red. And confusingly, and I know there's a mathematical reason for this because of how light and the physics of things, but different wavelengths travel at different speeds, right, inside the server. That's how I understand it. So they've made the color of the subsurface R, G, and B separated here. So you can see we've got red as 1, then we've got green as 0.2, and then blue as 0.1. So essentially, I need to clear all those out and make them 1, which, here's a tip, you can drag over multiple values in Blender. So if you just click and drag down across something, and then you can just type in 1 and then hit enter, and it makes all of those 1. And then now I can, you know, tweak this. I can make this look a little bit more milky like that. But we can, you know, we can adjust those. I'll do the same thing for my donut here. Give it some subsurface, turn that up, and then I'll set this to 1. And then, yeah, let's just leave it at the default value. But you can see that that's with subsurface on. Actually, let me bring the camera in. All right, I'm going to go lock it, bring this in, and I'm going to do a before and after render. So this is how you can use these slots. So this is with subsurface on. Then I'll go to slot 2, and now I'm going to select this, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll do another render. And now hit J back and forth. So that's the difference that subsurface can make to something. You can see here where it's like fully dark, it's actually now the light is passing through it. And that's what gives something a milky kind of look. And it's, as I said, it's mostly true for things like food. You can see it.
This is kind of interesting,
of myself all the time when I'm out.
It's kind of funny how it looks.
And my family think I'm weird. But I think it's cool. So anyways, there you go. So that's subsurface. All right. I'm going to pull the camera out to here, and then let's add a table, because this has to be a table. We're going to do the texturing in the next part, but let's add a table. Now, normally, if it was a table that you were, make sure I turn that off while I orbit around. You know, if this was a large scene, right, whatever, you would have to do, like, model an actual table. If you know the camera is only going to be here, doesn't matter about anything except the top surface. So all we need to model is
I wonder why I'm getting the artifact in here.
That's it. That's our
like
table.
You see when I move, there's like
I just
noise
have to scale it
and
up
stuff.
a little bit. But this is our table. It's actually really common in 3D if you look at like breakdowns of 3D scenes in movies and stuff. Everything is fakery. They're just like buildings are cards. They're just like a plane with a texture slapped on it. Nothing is real. You know, when the camera moves, they might have to like model things properly. And
Wait a minute.
They're just like a plane with a texture slapped on it.
So
Nothing
funny.
is real. You know, when the camera moves, they might have to like model things properly, and people go like, "Oh, I have to model it now." But like if the camera's here, it doesn't matter. Just make it a plane. There you go.
A plane. Okay.
That's a donut on a plate with a mug, and that for somebody who has never used 3D before, that's an achievement. This is the kind of thing that like back in the 90s, you probably would have won like scholarships for and stuff if you could pull this off. This used to be insanely difficult. It is still pretty difficult because 3D is hard. But yeah, if you have, if you're new at it, this should make you proud. You've pulled this off. If you want to save this, by the way, you can go image and then go save. And then you can just save an image.
Yeah,
PNG,
I'll be skipping over that step because
JPEG, etc.
I still have no idea why he does this.
In the next part, we're going to be making this look much better by doing some
because the position defaults over here for some reason,
adding some ceramic textures and things to different objects.
It's taking that position instead of the updated one for some reason.
Section of the donut tutorial,
but I assume he'll go over that in the last part.
Primitives, we add slight deformations. We extruded some things to create like an organic looking shape, did a little bit of sculpting, and then we created a mug, right? And then did some modifiers and subsurf to kind of create the general shape there. So those are kind of some of the techniques that you will need to learn to create lots of different objects in the future. Just some though. But there are so many other techniques and tools, precision modeling mostly with hard objects, how to keep straight lines, and then modeling something that is really custom and deformed, getting those like large-ish shapes, and kind of like almost using the mesh like a guide mesh.
Yeah, I think my issue was I wasn't fixed on the axis when I did the mug.
Characters, like sculpting a character from nothing, and then actually converting that character into something that looks and has like subdivision so that the arm can move, and then rigging that character so that you can actually move the arms like a puppet. So these are the kinds of techniques that we don't have time to go into in the donut, but I do have time to go into in my course called the Beginner's Academy. So all of these things you can see on the screen here are taught in that academy. If you only want to learn Blender for free and you just want to do this donut, that is fine. But
Yeah, I'll stick with free.
You want to learn how to actually think like a 3D artist and take an idea from your head and actually convert that into something that you can use, whether that be for 3D printing or for rendering or for whatever visualization purpose you have. That's what this course is about. It's teaching you those foundational skills to actually create something that you want to create. So if you're interested in that, the link for that is beneath this video. And it is designed for complete beginners who have finished the donut, but you've learned enough now that if you want to jump straight to that, you could. But if you want to continue on, we will jump into texturing next. I will see you in the next video.
Now, before we go into part 5, I do need to make this little table.
But let's add a table. Now, normally, if it was a table that you were, make sure I turn that off while I orbit around. Yeah, if this was a large scene, right? Whatever you would have to do, like model an actual table. If you know the camera is only going to be here, doesn't matter about anything except the top surface. So all we need to model is Shift A, plane.
Oh,
that's
really?
it.
Shift A, plane. Oh, okay. Well. Actually, I can fix it. Can I zoom in? I can. Okay, grab plate. Move down to this level, right? That is a little higher. Don't think it matters too much. And I can move both of them down as well. A little lower. Okay. Now you're clipping. Okay. Right? That's good enough. Okay. So now we go into camera view. Grab. No. Just move around because it's already fixed. Right? Alt. No. Camera. There we go. That's fine. Okay, unlock that. Interesting. I wonder why it does that. It's probably something we can figure out at another point, but we can continue on with part 5 now.
It's time to texture these bad boys, finally, after hinting at it for so long. So we added some simple materials, and that is actually fine for some types of objects. Like you might actually have a plate and go like, it's just white plate. Doesn't need any texture, but most things need texture. So I'm going to select my table floor here. I'm going to
just lagged everything.
Panel right here. And I'm going to add a new material
since it doesn't have there.
And
I tested it out.
Let's look at
cycles and everything lagged.
Right here where we've got base color, if we want to add a color texture, we just click on this little yellow dot next to it. I know that's not clear. It will become clear when I show you nodes. But when I click this, you get this slide out menu with a bunch of different options here. And the one that I'm looking for says image texture. Okay, so now I can hit open. And just to demonstrate this, I'm going to select a wood texture that I downloaded off the internet just to show you how this works.
Okay.
Now, on this note, if you happen to see this, if you use an image texture that you find online, it's because there is a new feature there's a purpose. There's a new feature in Blender 5.0 where if it identifies in the name anything from the number 1000 to 2000, I think, it'll think that is a UDIM, which is a completely whole, production professional workflow kind of thing.
Okay, ignore it
it'll
then.
think it's a UDIM, and anyways, what you need to do is then change this to single image. But most of the time, most images, if it doesn't have those numbers, a string at the end, it should just load in fine. Anyways, let's say you had an image like this, and you wanted the table to look wood, right? We're not going to do that, but just to show you.
Does it have anything in here with that?
You would see it's okay, right? But there is no bump information, okay? And that is because, of course, the 3D software doesn't know that there's supposed to be crevices here, right? Little dips in between the table, the fine-toothed grain of it. It has no idea because it's just taken with a single camera. It would have no idea how to guess what that true information should be. I mean, there is technically a way to guess it, but it never really turns out well. So I'm not even going to bother showing you. So most of the time when you're talking about texturing in 3D and using image textures, like textures from
I should probably
you don't just grab a random image texture that you find online. You need to use PBR textures, which stands for physically based rendering.
Sorry, what?
When you're talking about texturing in 3D and using image textures, like textures from the real world, you don't just grab a random image texture that you find online. You need to use PBR textures, which stands for physically based rendering textures. And there are many different places that you can get PBR textures from. The best website that I think is Polygon, POLIIGON.com. The link is below.
Okay.
And I think it's the best website.
And that was the thing I just opened, right?
It's my website. It's my company.
Got it.
Which I created 10 years ago, and it is now the fastest growing texture library online. So we've got photographers all over the world, and they use specialized equipment to go out into the world, and they capture surfaces, usually like photograph the surface like
I wonder if you need a license to do something like that.
Enables you to actually capture all
like if I could just do that IRL,
bump, the
or if I need a license for certain products and textures from specific companies.
That you can see here, for example, these weird looking maps is exactly what Blender needs to make the material look realistic. So we've got a bunch of different categories. Obviously, like almost anything you want to create, you can find the textures on here. But for just this tutorial, if you go to polygon.com/donut, the link for that is also below. But this has the 6 textures that you'll actually need to follow along for this video. They're all free. We've made them free. All you need to do is get a free account, and you can download all of those by just clicking them and then hitting download. And also, if you scroll down, we've got some premium textures here. If you have a subscription with us, that you could use for the cafe scene that we're making to kind of spruce it up, make it your own, add some variation there. So we've included some ones here that go well with the scene. And if you use this link, you'll get 10% off any plan you choose. So the first texture I want you to start with is going to be our cafe table, and obviously.
Okay. Unfortunately, this is the point where it's. Unfortunately, we've reached a blocking point for now. I can just do this immediately off stream, and then next time we'll be ready with all the textures and stuff. But I think for now, we can pause this here. And we need to make a note of this somewhere, that 1, rendering noise, 2, when we do the render thing, it moves a plate over here for some reason. I think we'll go over that in the, I think we'll go over that in the render section, the final section of this thing, when he's actually making the final image. But our roadblock right now is we need to make an account with this thing, download all the textures, and probably find a wooden thing for the for our table here. So render the position of plate, account, those those three things are current issues that we need to figure out. I can leave the what's it called? The render issue and the plate to the last section. We don't really need to worry about right now. But as for now, we're roadblocked by the a free count here. And I don't really want to be doing that on stream just in case, you know? So I think for now, I'll end the stream and I'd say continue again potentially Friday. Potentially. Not sure yet. But I think for now we could end stream here. I'll restart the stream and play some Smash Bros. For now. Yeah. Because we've only hit an hour. I usually can go for like an hour or somewhere, but Okay. Well, thank you for watching. And if you were watching from the future, thank you very much. And I'll see you very shortly because then we'll restart stream and play Smash Bros. Yeah.